like a really, really long time for what I normally do on this channel. I used to live stream like all the time and I love it and I still love it, but I just really haven't felt the pull to do live streams. And I've had a lot going on in the transition and I've been posting regular videos and stuff like that. But I have moved across country, as a lot of you know, and are probably sick of hearing about. But I've let Phoebe outside, and I'm gonna have to get up and let her back in. But I can see her because the window's open, and I can tell she's getting in mischief, guys. I can tell. But hi, how are you? So I wanted to do this live stream because there's a tag, and it's a long kind of 31 days of witchcraft tag that was put on by a channel who the name is Heather Carter. And I will leave a link once this is done for playback so that you guys can find the prompts yourself and do this if you'd like, and also go subscribe to the channel who created it. But there was like a Google Docs, so I printed out the questions and I thought that we could just hang out. And if anyone shows up, I see there's a few people here, but this wasn't really planned. This was kind of like on the last minute. Hi, Rebecca, how are you? This was like kind of like a last minute thing. So yeah, I'm here. I just thought we'd hang out. I can answer the 31 days. Hi, Crimson Fire. Hello. Yeah, so I thought it would be kind of fun to do this tag. It's up. I've been making a lot of videos during the quarantine, anyways, and I didn't know if I was like up for just, doing another commitment to like 31 days of videos. And this felt more in depth. These questions are really great, and there's some really big topics that I didn't feel like I could just explore. Like I wanted to explore further with other people in the chat, and also just talk out loud the answers to these because some of them are big questions, and some of them are questions that you guys give me quite a bit. So hopefully this is just fun and we can hang out, and more people will come as it is. And I know that it's around 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so it's still pretty early on the west coast of the States. But I would love to hear some of your guys' answers to these as we go along. I am in a really weird place to film, so you can see this. This is one of my little altar spaces in my bookshelf, and then my desk is right here next to me, and then the window. It's kind of weird lighting, but I just felt like I wanted to tuck myself back in this little corner. So we're gonna see how it goes. But I'm gonna have like one side of my face kind of dark and the other from the light outside. So it's not the best, but that's okay. We're not here for that, right? Um, Rebecca says Animal Crossing. I really want to play those games, but I don't know what it is. I just got into Call of Duty like really, really bad. So, I mean, it's taking over my life. Like, if I'm not doing client readings, I'm literally playing Call of Duty, and it's a problem. I started playing to connect with my guy, my boyfriend, but he's on overnights. So like during the week, he only has a few hours to where, we can kind of be together and hang out, and that's fine. I don't need to be around him all the time, but being during the quarantine too, I'm finding like he's really my only social interaction out of Skylar, apart from Skylar who also lives with us. And I was getting feeling a little needy. So I was like, oh, maybe if I take up his hobby. I used to play Call of Duty 11 years ago, 10 years ago when Black Ops came out, and I was obsessed, and that's all I did was go to work, come home, and play Call of Duty. And I was like, oh, I know how to play. Like, I really liked it before. You guys, it's a problem. So I don't have time for Animal Crossing because I am fully in Modern Warfare mode. Crimson says, this is a great idea. I never have 31 days to do a thing, so I love this. Yes, I would love to see your answers to these. I'm sure they're really great and juicy, or maybe you can just hang out and say some of your answers and still do the live stream, because I feel like 31-day challenges are actually really, really awesome because it gives so much content for the community on so many channels throughout a whole month. It's like, oh my gosh, what's everyone's answer to this? and every single day there's like at least a few channels that are going to be producing videos, and I've done it before, and it's really easy if you can like pre-record a lot of them, or like, you know, record all of that, like multiple in one day, and then edit them and put them up, because it's just not feasible to do a video like that every day. It's so time consuming. Hi Mystic Rain, hi Allison the Witches, hi to everybody who is joining. I know more people will be joining. Can you see Phoebe? She's getting into mischief in my bushes. Hi, love you're popping all of these prompts in a live. I might have had a few read. Oh, okay, midnight here. I was like, read. So I'll try my best not to sloppy text. Oh my God, girl, you sloppy text all you want. I love that. Yeah, so I just know that I'm not going to do this unless I push it all together. And it was a good excuse to like hang out. I'm kind of stalling a little bit because I know I'm going to have to get up and let Phoebe in. And I know that I'm kind of waiting for other people to see the notification and for it to come in. So, and just to see what you guys are doing and what you're up to. You know, Rebecca said Animal Crossing. What did Crimson Fire say? I'm so on World War Z on the PS4 in my few hours of chill. The current circumstances make it feel so appropriate right now. Yeah. Yeah, I don't feel guilty about it. Like, I'm getting my things done, you know, so long as I block my business aside and I like set time to work on client readings or answer emails or, you know, do the things that I need to do for my business, and then get to business. So I don't feel bad. Where normally I don't play video games because I know how like I'm a very, I wouldn't even say an addictive personality because that kind of gives a negative connotation to it, but I'm a very all or nothing kind of person, and I do know that. So I don't tend to play video games because I know that it will consume me, and that's what it's doing, but I don't feel bad about it. I finally made one of your lives. Hi, Madeline. How are you? Do you pronounce your name Madeline or Madeline? Just so I don't get it wrong. But thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out. Okay, we got some people here. Let's see what the first one is, because this might take quite a while, and the more people that come, the more I'm gonna want to read your guys' answers too. Lynn, the Tarot Witch. Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Madeline. Okay, Madeline. So what I'm doing, if you guys are just joining in, is I'm going to be doing the 31 Days of Witchcraft prompts by Heather Carter. It was a channel that I really wasn't familiar with. I don't think I was subscribed, and now I am. It's a fabulous way that she's putting this together. It was very professional too. So I'm going to start answering these questions. I'm going to let you guys know what the questions are. I'm going to tell you my answer. You guys are going to tell me your answers. We're going to talk about it. Hopefully we can get through the 31. I'm going to stop for a second and go and get my dog because she is getting in the mud. Like, I can see her. Hey, hey, hey. Hold on. I'll be right back, guys. Come on. Let's go inside. Come on. Good girl. Very good listening. Good girl. So I can see her getting in something. All right, so should we start? And then as people come, they will come. If you answer, they will come. So the first question is your witchcraft secular, spiritual, or religious? How does this influence your practice? I feel like it's all three. And that's a kind of a cop-out Gemini answer, but this is a good one to start on, and it's also very like big to start on. I wouldn't say it's controversial, but it feels very, very much like at any given point, a combination or one or the other, you know, like it doesn't feel like I've ever needed to define it that way. I feel like in some senses, this really is a religious practice. And sometimes I feel very much a spiritual fluidity to things. And it's also secular, definitely. And I just have never felt, because I'm morphing and changing so much over time, that I've had to feel like I needed to define what that was in my mind. I know the things that make me feel good and the things that resonate with me and the things that don't. And that's really, I mean, I know that's kind of a cop out answer, but not even really. I just don't feel like, I feel like it's a great question. Oh my god, what is going on? Sorry guys. I feel like this question is pretty big, and I feel like I'm more interested to hear other people's answers on this, because I just have never felt like I needed to know or practice in a specific way. I know that the word religious is really triggering to some people. I know that even if saying that it is sort of religious is, or you see it as a religious practice, can put a lot of people off. But to me, it feels pretty religious. But I use the word spiritual a lot more. I think it's a little bit more user friendly for people. You know, you'll hear in like the podcast and stuff that Skylar and I have, we throw the word spiritual practice or spirituality around all the time because it's a little bit more inclusive feeling for people. So what do you guys think? Do you consider witchcraft, is your witchcraft secular, spiritual, or religious? And I feel like it influences my, because that's the second question, is how does it influence your practice? I feel like it influences my practice because it's constantly testing my beliefs and testing my way of perceiving life and daily interactions, and how I want to view things and how I want to move through the physical world. I feel as though those three sections that I could, or combining all of those, it keeps me feeling like I just am curious all the time, and I'm questioning all the time my beliefs and my ethics and the way that I want to live and who I want to be. Again, big question. Nobody's answering, and that's okay. Maybe you're typing it out. But I'm going to move on to the second question, because that one's pretty big. The second one is, do you work with, okay, someone just, sorry, religious, super triggering, but I love this tag in hearing other people talk about their personal practices, or religious, expanding how I understand that word. Exactly. It is a hard question. It's a hard one to start on. And I admit that I haven't really watched anybody else's, you know, because we're already into May. So, I mean, what's today? I don't even know what the date is, but it's at least like the 6th, I think. So people have answered these, and I haven't watched anybody else's videos, but I wanted to do that on purpose because I didn't want to be influenced. So now that I'm doing all of them, I can go back and freely watch everybody's answers. But yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, secular spirituality. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's such a great question, but it is really hard to answer for yourself. And it's more so like, well, what do you do? It's really, really hard, because I think the question itself is just testing testing how we view it. Like, maybe we've never even really thought about it. Maybe we've thought about it, but we went, nah, I don't really need to think about it that way, or I don't need to define it. Or I think a lot of us are that way. I feel like a lot of us were raised in, and I know that's one of the questions later on, but I think a lot of us were raised in generations above who needed defining things, that needed to know where you fit and where you placed. And our generations now are working really hard to make things inclusive and fluid and non-conformist. So it gets harder and harder to feel like it's a good thing to, you know, pick something, or to settle on one thing, because I feel like we are collectively, our generations, you know, whether you're 60, whether you're 14 and you're watching this, I feel like we are, you know, it's our duty in this realm of consciousness to make things more inclusive and make things more fluid. Although that makes people feel uncomfortable, because we've been taught, you know, that we need to kind of like, well, what are you, you know? So yeah, I feel like I'm all three, and at any given day it could feel more one or the other. Do you work with any specific deities as part of your practice? Why or why not? For the longest time, the answer was no. And I feel like I just was never going to connect with deity and that it wasn't going to be something a part of my practice. And I didn't get it. And I was actually like put off by other people's content or information talking about deity. And it was more so a projection on myself of like, well, you don't connect with deity, so obviously you're gonna feel ick about other people doing it because you're jealous or you don't understand. And that's how it was for years. Um, and I really always felt connected to spirit guides and spirit that's crossed over. Like the hedge witchery in me was really strong. The force was really strong there. But connecting to deities felt really fuzzy. Like it always felt like I could never get there and understand what was happening. And this is going to get kind of deep here, but and I think I've kind of explained this before. The way that I'm connecting to the deity now is it helped and it started clicking when I realized that the way that I communicate with spirit that has crossed over, with my spirit guides and deity are all the same, and I get very similar cues and symbols and things. But for whatever reason, it's almost like I needed to organize Virgo Ascendant. I needed to organize the sections in my consciousness for the spaces that they took up. And because I was trying to combine them all together, like deity spirit guides and crossed over loved ones of other people and myself, like everything felt like because it was not in the physical space that it needed to live in one consciousness. And when I started to kind of realize that my spirit guide and my and spirits that have crossed over that were in the physical realm felt very different spaces in my third eye and in my consciousness, I was like, oh, I'm realizing that I'm doing that and that they hold very different places for me. So let me designate one for deity and give it its own form of communication and accept it that way instead of trying to force it to communicate to me like, you know, my papa or whatever, you know, because it's just different. To me, it is. Again, it's kind of funny where I'm explaining it that way when the last question has been like, oh, we're trying to be so inclusive and not like box things in, but it's more so like in my mind, not even in my mind, in my consciousness, like the space that it takes up is kind of different. So that's when it started clicking for me, and that's when I was able to understand and communicate with deity. And so I work with Coventina, which a lot of you guys know. She is a random ass goddess, and she came at me like a spider monkey, and she latched her claws on a couple years ago, and I've been working with her ever since. Um, she's on it, you guys. I mean, she literally made me move across country. I'm not even lying. And then I work with Diana, so Artemis, uh, and I don't feel the communication is strong with Diana since I've moved down to Florida. I almost felt like she came really, really strong at the end of Michigan to get my ass in gear and to connect me. And then she kicked my ass out of Michigan. And she's like, I'll be here when you get back. If you come back, whenever you come back. If you visit, great, I'm here. If not, I'm still with you, but like I live here. So, because she feels very much a Michigan deity to me. But Coventina is the water and the ocean and lakes and shit, and she has pulled me to Florida. So, I like working with other deity as well whenever I can learn, whenever I can feel connection. But those are the two main ones that I work with. And then whatever comes in, whatever wants, I'm open. I'm open. So what are you guys saying? And I'll show you. I've shown this before, but I'll show you guys again. Um, Someone said yes, Virgo rising. Okay, so somebody said, I'm trying to go back far enough. Sorry. Bast and Persephone. I love Bast from the Witch's Moonmaker. Love it. Um, Persephone is such an interesting archetype, right? I just love the story behind Persephone, all the stories behind Persephone. I want to work to some deities, but I think it's too soon in my practice. I do sometimes just talk to some of them, however. That's great. I mean, I feel like a little bit of not nerves, but more like apprehension sometimes to talk about my practice. And it's either coming from a sense of like it's very vulnerable and there are a lot of things that are very public on my space. And but there's also borders and boundaries that I like to keep so that things feel a little bit more precious to me, which is why I don't really show too much of like actual spell work or things like that. Like I just feel like me showing you kind of it loses its validity in the space that I do it. So I've been trying to come up with unique ways to do, spellcraft and then tell you how it went afterwards, or so it's not one and the same. One of the biggest things that I do for myself, which I should have done, I don't want to show to myself, but I should have done a couple days ago, is pull my year ahead card spread. I pull one oracle and one tarot for the upcoming year, and I offer that card reading on my website as well, but I do it for myself. I do it starting with May because my birthday is the 22nd of May. Y'all, I'm gonna be 30. I'm gonna be 30 on the 22nd. And I've always wanted to like show you how I go about doing it, but there's no good way of doing it. And then also having that spiritual space for myself. But the other part is I feel a little bit of apprehension sharing what works for me, because I just always feel like there's going to be a few people out there that digest the content and think that's the way it needs to be for me. And I can't change other people's perception of the video, and I can't, dumb things down or not share because to other people who are like, oh, that's a great idea. I could morph and change my practice that way. But I just know that there might be somebody out there that's like, well, she does it that way, so that's the way it has to be. And it makes me nervous that like you guys hear the way I connect to certain things or that I do things, and I don't want you to ever feel pressured to do it the way that I do it or to connect with the way that I do it. That's the whole beauty of a spiritual, secular, religious witchcraft or just practice of, I don't know, life. Crimson Fire says inner temple work and creating the internal world to translate into the corporeal world is such a useful work. I love it. In your spirit work, like the more you focus into it, the more detailed you see it in defining the various spaces. Are you asking me that, Alice and the Witches? Is that like an actual question? Or are you like trying to help me summarize what I was saying? Because I could go further into it of how that feels. Kate says, I work with Hestia and dabble with other Greek deities. Too many to list for me at 12:30 a.m. Yeah, I feel that. Thank you. Thank you. Not only is it my solar return, it's my Saturn return. I'm coming out of the harshness of the first hit of my Saturn return. It will hit again, I believe, like on my birthday. I have to look at my ephemeris again. And then it hits again in September and October of this year. So I'm definitely not in the clear. And I am actually a little bit more impatient to know what's going to happen September and October. But I'm along for the ride. It is what it is. No solid, definite work yet, but I'm working with Durga, Tara, Daniel. Daniel is the new. I think she's going to be big. That's exciting. That's exciting, Rebecca. Wow, so huge. I know. And I just moved across country, Crimson Fire. It's a lot. And I just got like a promotion and then got furloughed 4 days into it. There's a lot going on for everybody. But I'm just a little bit more. That's not what I mean. It's just it is kind of wild to be going through all of this and then, yeah, days before the lockdown, move across country. More of a fuzzy summary, but happy to book along with where the combo goes. Just like listening to witchy combos. I love it that you're like 2 sheets, 3 sheets to the wind right now. Okay, what's the next question? Because we're already 25 minutes into this, huh? Let's see. Number 3, or day 3, if you do it this way. What area of your practice are you currently focusing on, if any? Oh, that's right. I was going to show you guys. Where is my other... Let's see my last book of shadows. I am working on art magic. Plant and crystal magic alongside those. I think a lot of you might be, if you're watching some of these daily vlogs that I'm putting, they're not daily vlogs, but if you're watching some of the vlogs that I've been putting out during the quarantine, or if you follow me over on Instagram, you know, let's see if they're over here, that I've been doing a lot of watercolor studies. Now, what I did was, oh, it's right here. I love this. See, I love sitting over here because all of the things that I need to grab is right here. This cute little mug is a Alice in Wonderland teacup that the kids got me when they went to Disney World with their mom. But I wrote maybe like 10 or 12 crystals and 10 or 12 herbs or plants, and I put them on pieces of paper and I cut them up, and I have been pulling them out and then working on one by one little watercolor and colored pencil studies. So I've done time, which this is not a great space to show you guys the you can't really see that because it's not going to focus on it. Okay, anyways, that's time. You can check them all out on my I was gonna say my website, but I will be turning these into stickers for bullet journals or book of shadows, or just to put on like a laptop or something, just like I did for my astrological association glyphs and artwork. Those are 3 of them, and then this is the whole set of the minis. I think a lot of you guys have seen those, my astrology stickers on my website, which are available. But rose quartz, which kind of looks like a pointy piece of bubble gum, but that's okay. Smoky quartz. Yo, that needs to fucking focus here. There we go. Smoky quartz. This is agate. I didn't put a lot of definition into it, but I kind of like it flat like that. I think it's kind of fun. And then the last one that I just did was dandelion, which I really like how this one came out. I really like the colors. God, that's really awful. Anyways, if you want to see them better, you can go to my Instagram. It's Cloud9 Studios if you don't follow me. Anyways, I have been working with art magic to connect to certain things. I've always done art. Another piece of art magic that I did up here was an inspiration art piece. Instead of doing like a vision board or doing, a manifestation board, I wanted visually something that my Pinterest makes me feel. So instead of having to like open up Pinterest and be like, wow, look at all these beautiful witchy artistic things that make me feel super inspired and magical and potent, I'm just gonna make like a vision board of all of the things that make me feel raw, potent magic. And then I'm gonna have a spell or manifestation that I'm trying to cultivate in the center around it. So this is kind of like a art magic spell piece that I did, and I just printed out a lot of these things, and everything makes me feel power or connected to my practice or spirit. And so I put them all around here, and then I took watercolor and did little bits for each of the elements. So like earth, water, air, and fire. And then in the center, I wrote out, I have the abundance and power to live solely on creatively expressing myself with loved ones. And so this is right up on my altar. And it's something that I look at that I feel really I can do the spell and see it every day and work on it and focus on it. And have it come to be. So those are some things that I've been doing currently in my practice, is a lot of art magic. And this book has been really interesting to incorporate with I just started doing it because I've only done I've done 3 crystals and two of the herbs. So I found this book when I was cleaning. I was like, oh, that's right, I love this book. So I took Dandelion, right, which is the last one that I just finished. This is Wild Flower Folklore by Laura C. Martin. And I can't remember where I got this or why I got this, but I love this book so much. So go back to Dandelion in the index 161. And it is just like it sounds. Not only does it tell you about the herb or wildflower, it gives you all of the folklore associated with it. So in this case, let's see, I was just reading about this. So because of the blow balls or parachute heads are irresistible to children all over the world, there are several superstitions about them. Children commonly believe that if they can blow off all the seeds in one breath, then their wish will come true, which is the folklore that I know for dandelions. If you guys have ever seen dandelions, and you know the little puff balls that they get, the little white ones, I've always been told that if you can blow all of them off, then you can make a wish and your wish will come true. But then it also says other superstitions say if you blow on the blow ball, the number of seeds left will tell you what time it is. Yet another superstition says that the number of seeds left on the blow ball after a child's good hard puff tells how many children that they will have. If you whisper words of love to your favorite person and blow the seeds gently toward them, the seeds will carry your words to your beloved. The language of the dandelion is faithful to you, and it is considered a symbol of time and love. And there's a whole lot more that they have written about the dandelion, but I think using art magic, but also knowing what it is that I'm creating and knowing more about the crystal or the herb that I am, or the plant that I am connecting to. So mixing a little green witchery and art magic in there is what I'm doing right now. I was going to show you too, going back. I don't see anyone's. Oh, okay. Sorry. Your comments weren't popping up for me. I'm so sorry. I know most hate the Saturn, I can never say that word, Saturnian transits, but I love and welcome them wholeheartedly. The foundations laid with them are invaluable. I love them too. It's sort of like a tower moment though, Crimson Fire, where it's like easier said than done when you're on the outside. So like I'm here for it. I'm ready. It's already brought me so much opportunity and blessing and abundance. Although it's more so like, okay, what are you gonna bring me? What are we gonna do? I'm ready. You know what I mean? So, when you see like a tower card, you're like, yes, tower. That means everything's gonna change and I'm gonna evolve and transform and learn so much new things and become a new me. And then you're in it, you're like, this is hard. Hello, love the mug. Remember seeing it in one of your vlogs. Thank you. I have a wicked mug collection. I've been doing a lot of lunar work. Yeah, there is a lot of Aussies in the chat, huh? Yes, the creations are awesome. Yesterday I was researching moon phases since it was a full moon last night. Yeah, how was everybody's full moon? My moon is in Taurus and it's in the 8th house. I find that when the moon, either full or new, is in the sign of Scorpio or Taurus, I tend to get nothing done. Like nothing done. And so I always feel like I need to remind myself that I don't have to always have a big ritual, and that sometimes self-care for just chilling and giving myself the grace and the fortitude to just relax is also a spiritual and a nice focus for new and full moon. So I do always feel a little bit of guilt and regret when I don't do anything, but I did nothing. I literally did nothing. And it was great. So, but the other full and new moons, I'm like, what can we do? What can we create? What can we connect to? What can I like be naked and dance around outside with? Okay. But for whatever reason, Taurus or Scorpio phases, they just hit different, and I can't I just can't do it. Maybe that'll change. Hi to everyone who's joining in. Obviously the title is hashtag 31 days of witchcraft. Heather Carter created this 31-day challenge. However, I am lazy and I also wanted to do a live stream, so I wanted to combine it all. We're going question per question and just hanging out and talking about them. So if you guys, I will leave the link to the channel that created this down below when it's after it's published, so you guys can go and get the printout and do it yourself, or however you want to check the channel out. I love the dandelion. My happy place is in a field of dandelions all over. To be honest, not working on anything at the moment. About ready to come out of my spiritual hibernation though. You are so inspiring. Oh, thank you, Rachel. I want to do some art magic. Art magic is honestly my favorite. And I think that it's really taking me the past year to be able to feel like saying that is not a cop-out, because I've done art my entire life, and I've always felt like me being an artist again needed to be separate than my path. But I've always said that painting for me is the most meditative thing that I can do, and it opens up, it unlocks so much good, happy yumminess within me, no matter what I'm doing. Like I am repurposing, and this might be an answer to a question I do later, but if you guys saw my vlog called Repurpose Magic, repurposing old magical tools. Hold on, let me move all my shit. So I have like a little box of crystals in here, which I think is one of the questions. So all my goodies are over here in my corner. So I have this magical item that my mom and my stepdad, who are incredibly crafty, made for me out of old coins and tokens. And it was this piece of wood, and you can go back and watch the vlog and see like it before I broke it apart. But during the move, I've had it since my 22nd birthday, because it was my golden year, and they gave me that for my birthday, and they made it for me, and it had a bunch of charms on the top, and it had a bunch of beads, and it had a bunch of strands hanging down, and it was a chime. It was like a charm chime that they made for me. Very, very wonderful and magical and pagan and beautiful. Yeah, and so these were hanging. Some of them stayed together and some of them came apart, but I took them apart, and I've been trying to create bags of spell bags with them. And the main focus with them is going to be definitely on money magic. Just feels right for what this was. And I think I'm gonna make 5. Where did the other one go? Oh, it's right here. I think I'm gonna make 5 bags. I'm gonna keep one for myself, and I'm gonna put 4 up on my website if anyone wants to purchase them. If they don't, that's fine. That's not the goal of them. It's just I have so much of the supplies. I'm really making it for myself, and while I'm at it, I'm just gonna make a couple more. But so I've taken seashells, which is really symbolic of a lot of stuff for me right now. And if you know the story of my grandmother, then you'll know why also this is symbolic for me. But I created a glyph for, or a sigil, I guess, for what I want this to be encompassing. So I have the Jupiter, it might be backwards for you guys, but I have the glyph of Jupiter there, and then the sun and the moon glyph on either side of them. And so I painted it on the inside of seashells, and that's going to be going in there. And I have some other herbs and goodies and things. So it's not just like painting and stuff like that. It's anything. Like you can do anything and consider it art magic and be like, I'm being artistic. But I really, in the last year, have had so much fun with connecting that as the main part of my practice, I think. I don't know why the comments aren't showing up. I have to like physically go there. I'm sorry. Working on my grimoire. Goods. I've been doing this tag and it has been a hot mess. I can't wait to go watch everyone's videos now. I'm gonna watch yours, definitely. Loving these. Such a fun idea with randomly drawing them. I connect with art magic too, working on my journal while listening. Okay, let me see. Oh my gosh, there's so many comments. Hold on. Eek. I'm sorry if I skip yours. I'm sorry. Um, Fan from the Philippines. May I know what we're talking about right now? Yeah, sure. Hi, welcome. We are doing the 31 Days of Witchcraft put on by Heather Carter. There's 31 prompts, but I'm pushing them all together in one live stream hangout. So welcome. Thanks for coming. I love the energy exuding from you. You share your passion for art. Thank you. I saw your last vlog where you repurposed your old wind chime. Yeah. So I'm still working on that and charging some things. Like last night, I charged these underneath the full moon that I created, and then I'm still trying to. I'm not trying to force it and rush it, but I'm trying to figure out exactly what I want the spell bags to have, because I really want to get clear. And I did a bit of journaling yesterday as well when I created that sigil glyph that I put on there. I really wanted to know like why I did that and what I did it for. So I did a little bit of journaling, and I did a little piece of this magic in my Book of Shadows as well. So I just really want to get clear on what it is that I'm trying to cultivate so I can put the right items in there. And I'm really excited about it. It's gonna be so fun. And I think I'm gonna have more materials left over in case something else comes up and I want to use those as well. Cool. Let me see if I can catch up a little bit more. Yes, I grew up to understand art world based in the mental facilities, whereas witchcraft is expanding through all the senses and beyond. Yeah, I know. It's hard. Again, it's hard not to feel like you need to, like, maybe it's just me. I don't know. Again, I'm very like need organization and things, and I try so hard to have everything just be a big ball of like everything is all one and it all is connected. But I'm so naturally gravitating towards like this is this part of my life and this is this part of my life, and it's something that I have to constantly work at. And I blame it on my Virgo ascendant, which always wants to secularize things, if that's a word. Oh, nice. I plan on doing 31 days too. I'll probably post mine on Instagram. I'm definitely looking forward with more of your art magic. Thank you so much. I'm really glad that you're here. Thank you for joining. Let's do another question, or I'm just going to go on and on and on talking about art, and I probably will anyways. What is your favorite element to work with, and what do you work with it? Oh, good. Saturn and Moon and Sag. So got the tattooed on my middle finger. Nice. I don't know if you saw this when we were hanging out in the Google chats, but I do have all the personal planets and the signs that they're in for my natal chart, and then I have the North Node there as well. I got this years ago with my grandmother who taught me, and I love it. I really would like to add on to it, but now's not the time. I love a good witchy tattoo. Yeah, I want to see yours. I think I have seen them before, but I want to like zoom in on it. So, what is your favorite element to work with, and how do you work with it? I would definitely say, I don't know. I love them all so much, and I use them in such different ways. Ugh, such a fucking Gemini. If I had to pick one, the easiest answer for me would be water. I feel like I'll put them in order, even though they don't need to, but I'm gonna put, we'll do water, water, earth, air, fire. I don't know. I love them all. I feel like I really have to concentrate on how I connect with fire, and I have to connect with fire through astrology. I have to connect through fire through the tarot. But as a physical element, I do have a lot of fear, and I feel like past life trauma associated to the element of fire. So the only ways that I really use fire is candles or incense or burning things. Um, and even then, it's very um, thought out, and it's very much like I am doing this now. So I have to connect through that element and get really creative in the way that I do use it. And I often find that I connect more through the fire signs and through interacting with astrology and also tarot and using like the wand suit and things like that. Um, I'll finish watching this tomorrow. Need to be up to homeschool the boys, but I'm sending so much love and I will try and do this tag too. Yes, thank you for coming on here, Crimson Fire. I really love you. You know, we've recently connected and I really am grateful to know you now. So, yeah, this is going to be a long one. Go to sleep. Thanks for coming by. Fire, earth, air, water, said Rebecca. And then Rachel said, fire. I love candles, incense, and cooking. Oh, yeah, cooking. That's a good one. That is good to connect with fire, definitely. But I feel as though even then, like, I need to really work with fire and know that I'm working with fire. Air, though, is something that I feel like a lot of people miss because it's harder to like say you're working with air. But communication to me is the biggest part of my life, whether it is expressing my creative ideas or inputting information through my consciousness out to art. Like that's air to me as well, is kind of finding ways to either journal or communicate, or you know, so much of me and my personality is mercurial, and it is also very much it's very much air. Talking and communicating and expressing and inputting and outputting information, highly up there, which I would say that honestly air might be my number one used, but my favorite element to work with is definitely water. I love working with water. I love swimming. I love the ocean. I love taking baths. I love shower. I love scrying in water. I love using teas and tinctures and things like that and mist sprays. I love using water. And earth, I have 2 grand earth trines in my chart, so I feel like it's a cop out to say that I work with work with earth, because I feel like it's just, I am so earth. I am so earthy. Material items, my physical body, plant magic, my house magic, stuff like that is like almost like it's a very grand earth trine cop out of like, yeah, it's there, I use it all the time, but like no big deal. Okay, let me read some of your guys' comments. Hold on. Would you say that writing can be considered a part of witchcraft practice? What would that be, air? Yeah, I was just saying that I didn't see your comment. I'm so sorry, but yeah, that's huge, air. And hello? It's okay, Phoebe. I don't know what that was. Oh, hey. Yeah, I feel the same way. All right, that's enough. That's enough. They're doing construction, I guess, but I am constantly bringing up writing and communicating and even just conversing with people as airmen. What is happening? Hello. So yeah, I definitely would consider not only for writing to be an air element practice of witchcraft or just daily life, but one of the biggest and best tools. Fire and earth. I love grounding and meditating on walks outside, and I do a lot of candle magic and trying to bring more fire energy into my life. Totally get you there about focusing more in fire energy. I'm mostly earth signs in my chart, but I naturally connect with water and ocean magic. Incense connects me to air also. I agree. Something about incense feels to me almost a little too earthy and fiery to be considered completely air for me, but it's smoke in the air, so absolutely. Like, you can't say no to that. Air magic seems to embed itself in everything we do. Hard to separate from everything else. It's everywhere. Like you say, water is my answer for this one. I have a lot of crystals are very grounding. I'm a Pisces through and through, and I need grounding so bad. Oh yeah, for sure. I love that. Night Crimson gotta go. Yep, she's leaving. Aw, Phoebes. I know, she was like, what is that? Having most of my signs in Virgo, my moon in Taurus, and with most of my planets in Capricorn, I should be more connected to Earth, but I resonate with water more. I find actually the more the more we have certain elements in our chart, the more we kind of tend to lean towards others because or we don't even realize that it already is so influenced and woven into everything that we do. Like that's part of the whole grand trine aspects in your chart is when you have grand trines. It's like it's often talked about as like the lazy aspect because it's like a blanket over you that you don't even realize is there that you're wearing, and it's like, yeah, everything I do is extremely grounded and earthy and connected to the physical realm. But anyways, what about water? Did you guys know that there's water? It's almost like we don't use or realize the magic and the ability that comes so easily to us when we have a lot of signs or really influential placements and not placements, aspects in our charts. But that's going on a whole nother this is going on a whole nother thing. If I recall correctly, my chart is likely like fire, water, and air, barely any earth. So I'm steam. I love that. Heather Lynn, why did YouTube not notify me of this live stream? Now I have to go to work. I'm sorry, Heather Lynn. It'll be here for playback. I know it's not the same. And I would love to hear your answers as we go along. But comment some of your answers if you watch it back. I'm suspecting that it will probably be quite long. Arriving late. Hi, everybody. If you're just joining, welcome. We're getting through these very slowly, so we're going to have to start it, speeding it up. But we're going through the 31 Days of Witchcraft by Heather Carter, and I'm doing it all in one live stream so we can just hang out and talk about it. I used to identify and say I was a water element when I was younger, and at some point I switched to saying fire. I know I can be what I want to be. Oh my god, we have to speed these up. 5. Have you had a teacher in the craft? Have you ever taken a course or classes to help you learn witchcraft? What were your experiences? If you haven't, what are your thoughts and feelings on such courses? Oh my god, I have so much to say about this question. Yes, I've taken courses. I've taken courses in person and online. I have. Most of you know that I grew up in a very witchy, pagan, maternal line. Whether or not my mother identified as pagan or witch, like she was very much just said. So her answer to the question one would be spiritual. But we did a lot of very, very witchy pagan things growing up. When her and my stepdad, or my pops as I call him, got married, they got married by themselves in the woods and then came and had a family union where we had someone come, and we were in little hippie skirts and flower crowns and were around the fire and did like a family union kind of like hand fasting thing. There was like oils and things all around our yard, and we had to drink wine and put bracelets on and stuff like that. Like I didn't quite understand that when I was younger, and my mom had an aromatherapy business where she made her own lotions and tinctures, and she had crystal animal totems and things, and she ran and did holistic fairs. So I've been surrounded by like the metaphysical, holistic, witchy world since I was younger, but I really rebelled against that for most of my whole life until I was older and started connecting with my grandmother. So she also was very much into spirituality. I would say hers more spirituality, not witchcraft or paganism. She is much more of a spiritual mindset. So they would take me to unity churches where they taught like a course in miracle and law of attraction things. And then, you know, when I was younger, there'd be like Marianne Williamson giving service, and I would be like in the children's Sunday school kind of thing. But it was very much spiritual mindset, very much like Louise Hay and Neil Donald Walsh and Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson. Like that's kind of what I grew up with. However, my mom, I remember like we would sit down and she would tell us how fairies were real, and like I just grew up with a very magical, witchy, pagan on all sides, mostly in the females in my family. So I felt like my teachers were like my family, and the people and what they taught me and how to connect with certain things. My mom and her ability to like enhance my imagination and faith in certain things was like the biggest gift that she could give me, because she went above and beyond to letting us believe in whatever we wanted to believe in. So yeah, I just feel like that has been my biggest teacher. For courses, it's really difficult, I feel like, to find good courses in person and online. And there's so many courses, and I've done a lot of courses which I felt like weren't worth the money. I feel like I've done courses that was like, okay, cool, got my money's worth. Like I've learned some things. I felt like good, good things. And there's been one or two that I'm like, that was well done. Good on you. Good on you. The one recently has been Jessi Huntenburg's Spellbound course, and I made a video talking about it in one of the vlogs that I've done recently, so I'm not going to go on too much about it, but I will leave a link down below to her course. I was very impressed, not even just so much with the course, but because I found some things out that made me realize that she walks her fucking talk, and I was like, mad props to you. So that made me feel even more so like I was getting my bang for the buck there, and that I really was getting knowledge and information from somebody that isn't just like, I have a course. It's like she really lives what she's saying. So that's a really great course that I did recently, and I will leave the link down below, as well as the link to my video, so you can watch first my thoughts on it, because you want to hear the story of why I really liked it. And my grandma and I have done a few courses when I lived in Michigan. Like we went to Reiki and chakra, but a lot, and essential oils, and a lot of these courses and things. But a lot of them tend to be very like 101 and very beginner, which is always good. But I feel like it's really hard to find good courses or good in person teachers and things to get really down and dirty with some of the things that you want to incorporate into your witchcraft. I don't know how everybody else feels. I've been talking for a while. I'm going to try and go back and read comments, but I'm probably going to have to skip to keep it going. So if there's something you really wanted to ask me or something you wanted me to say and I'm skipping over your comment, write it again in all caps. Oh my God, that was like 10 questions in one. I know. And I really have a lot of feelings on it. YouTube has been my teacher. I want to take some actual classes. Yeah, I mean, it's so hard too, because it's like, okay, we want to learn everything, right? I think that's why YouTube is such a great resource, because there's so much content that you can digest when you want to digest it and what subjects you're trying to focus on. But it also is so clogged with bullshit. So it's like you really don't know, because it's a free platform and because so many people use it for so many different reasons, that some of the information that you get could be such bullshit or coming from such a not a great space. So it is kind of like a double-edged sword in some sense, where it's like, yeah, prick myself a little to gain a lot of knowledge, but also, I might have to go through some crappy shit to find the goodies, which is why I think it's so important for you to subscribe and to like and to comment and to interact with the channels and the content creators that you feel are actually of value in this space and in other spaces, whether you're on like Patreon or something like that. It's really important, because those people who are really, really putting their time and their soul and their energy into creating a really great, wonderful, intellectual kind of space for people, they need to be out there more, so it can kind of dumb down the, in my opinion, bullshit. So it's really, I think it's really important to support your creators, whether it's me or whether it's other people, that's fine. But it's the more you like videos, live streams, the more you comment on videos and live streams, the more that you share videos and live streams, that's helping the community grow really great, intellectual and oh my god, I'm reconnecting. Sorry guys. My cell phone is losing power really quickly. Okay, I have to speed up a little bit, and I'm gonna have to find a plug to plug in my phone here. um but yeah, I'm sorry if I couldn't read all your guys' comments. I can't wait to watch all of these freaking videos now that people are doing. Do you incorporate environmental consciousness and sustainability into your craft? I do, not as much as I wish that I could. I've got your responses in my watch later list, Alice Thoches. Okay, good. You guys are all sharing. Who are your favorite YouTube channels that are real? Well, I feel like if I say real, that it's making other channels that I might not mention not seem as like valid, and that's not the case. And it's more so like, God, see, that's like a, see, now I feel like I want to retract my statement, but it's more so like the people that I feel are really coming from walking their talk and really trying to have a well rounded basis of what they're doing. I think a lot of channels that a lot of people kind of already know about, but there are a few that I feel like are doing it and maybe don't get enough credit. I don't know if I feel the space to list some of those now, so maybe I can make a separate video on that. I'm sorry, just because I would hate to like leave someone out, or I'm always gonna leave someone out, but I feel like if I were to watch the playback or after I'm done, I'd be like, oh my god, this is like my favorite channel or my favorite person, and I forgot to mention them. So I will try and maybe list them, some of my favorites, on my Instagram stories later today. So if you're not following me on Instagram, let me write that down actually. I'm gonna have to plug my phone in, guys. We're still good, right? We can hang out. There's still a lot of you here. List. Yeah. I know everyone's looking for resources and good channels and stuff like that. Yes, we vote with our dollar of on YouTube, our time and energy, interact with channels you love. Exactly. Hey Raquel, what's up, Queen? Bigger channels giving algorithm friendly and not deeper stuff. So true. Yeah, like I feel like right now I would be naming a lot that is already like kind of getting the praise that they need. Again, I'll just like Molly Roberts. I really think I love Chris Ashburn and Joey Morris. See, I'm already listing. I love Jessi Huntenburg, Kellyanne Maddox, but a lot of you guys already know Crimson Fire is really great. And I know she's not a numbers gal, but I've just come across and connected with her through a Google Hangouts that Chris Ashburn put together. Really, really like her. Thorn Mooney is really great, and let's see. But a lot of those already have a lot of momentum behind them. So there's a lot that I feel like don't, and maybe they don't care, or maybe they just haven't figured out the algorithm or figured out the YouTube space, or maybe that's not their goal, but they still have really, really great content. There's a lot of people here in the chat who have channels that are incredible, who so if you have a channel, feel free to share that right now in the comments, or if you're watching the playback, feel free to share your channel name or your resources down below so everybody can kind of figure out what works for them and what feels good to them. And then maybe later on today I can try and list some of the good, not even good, but some of the channels or people that I really connect with and I love. The question was, do you incorporate environmental consciousness and sustainability in your craft? Yes, not as well as I want to. I was for a really long time very conscious of eco-friendly things. It made it really difficult when some of the life things that have happened to me recently. I have totally thrown some things out the wind when it comes to moving across country. And I've gotten really bad habits back in place, and I really have not been conscious of things that I either purchased or, have been doing that I was good on before. And it is what it is. I think I'm still a little bit more conscious than the average bear, but I do think I could go a lot deeper in what I do and how I do it. Um, I wouldn't say like sustainable living and environmental consciousness is the main forefront of my practice. I am vegan, and I feel like that alone does a really good does a part of, and not to say if you're not vegan you're not, but I feel like for me, um, it helps my consciousness to be more environmental friendly when it comes to either the foods that I'm eating or the things that I'm purchasing, which I am not fully purchasing only vegan things, but I do my best to kind of stick with that. And I think that that's one of the best things that I do as far as that. You guys keep commenting. Oh my god, it's going out so quick. I can't keep it. But you guys are just sharing your channels, which is great. I love that. Do you work with a specific animal spirit? If so, which animal and why? If not, is there one you would like to work with? I think this is a question, or like this is an answer that I think a lot of you guys might already know if you've been to my channel for a while. But we'll talk about it anyways. I love the moth. I work very heavily with the moth spirit, and they come to me and they give me messages, and I use them in my artwork. And I work really closely with the raven or the crow, both or either. And yeah, they're really big in my practice. I think a lot of you guys know that. I do have 2 paintings over there, big ones that I've worked on forever. The raven one is complete and the moth one is still sitting there. I just haven't wanted to use oil paints. I've been just wanting to use watercolors, so I'm just letting myself be in there. But you can even see moths up here. I have moth all over my altar. Moth on here. Moth on my little rock. Moth on my little rock. I got a little moth tingy here with an actual moth spirit that came to me in there. Don't crush it. Yeah, this is a wild story, but this moth baby came to me and was already deceased on my front porch, and the day before I found it, I created a little artwork mini moth that came to me. I was like, oh whoa, I want to paint this moth. And so I painted it, and it was literally this exact moth, which I've never seen around in my area in Michigan. And the next day when I woke up, there was one already passed away right on my doorstep, and I was like, holy shit. So I work really heavily with the moth. Yeah. So I am going to have to plug my freaking phone in somehow, guys. We might have to switch. Oh my god. How am I gonna do this? My phone is dying. I need a cord. How am I gonna do this? I was at like 80%. That's so nice of you to let others share their channels. I came back to YouTube under this new name, Driftless Mystic. I know, Raquel, I'm really excited to see the videos that you're pumping out. I didn't think you were going to come back, and I didn't think you were going to come back so soon, so I'm super pumped about it. We stand. And everybody else in here, Iris, I like really, there's so many people that have wonderful channels that might not have a huge subscriber count, and I feel like everybody here is in the mindset that I was talking about. And I feel like maybe people were like thinking I was dropping tea, where I was like, there's a lot of people that aren't real, but it's more so just like when you're trying to learn and find information, and you type in like, you might type in like healing properties of crystals. You might get like 20 really juicy, incredible content videos that come up, and one that's like someone who doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about and that just wants to use like crystal hashtag, And that still might be helping somebody, so I don't know. Oh my god, you guys, I haven't taken a pee break yet, but I am gonna have to get my cord and somehow figure out how to plug in my phone. Hang tight! Hang tight! Oh my god, guys, give me a second. I'm here. I'm here. Oh, I'm trying to figure out how to do this. I was not prepared for this to suck so much energy out of my phone. Okay, here. You guys just talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna have to move my camera. Move my camera. Excuse me. Excuse me. Hey, we're really close now. Hey. Hey. How y'all doing? A success. Oh my god, we did it. We're good. This is fine, right? This is good. This is really good. Hold on, I'm gonna just move it a little bit because we're not done talking, are we? Okay. I just did Mission Impossible. Like, George is sleeping in the other room. I'm now backlit. Whatever. We're good. You guys know what I fucking look like, right? We're good. That was good because my phone was dying. We were gonna get cut off here. And I really want to keep going through these. I'm having a great time. I haven't live streamed in so long. It's so nice to like see people commenting as I'm talking. So, okay, and I also bought this new artist chair, which I'm trying to get used to, but I'm not sitting in a normal chair. I'm like basically kneeling. So, hey, hello, everybody still coming in. Hey, Danielle, what's up? I'm trying to go back and read some of your guys' comments I missed. I just had to plug in my phone, so I left the room for a second. We're back. 31 Days of Witchcraft tag by Heather Carter, and we're just kind of going through them. The lighting is now wicked weird, but I kind of like it. So we just talked about spirit animal. I kind of blew through that one a little bit and let you guys talk and still share. Thank you for saying you're loving the live. Thank you. I'm really glad you guys are here. I love this. So the next question. Do you refer to yourself as a witch? If not, why not? If so, what does the word mean to you? I do refer to myself as a witch. I feel like I don't have to, though. Like, I don't know. I don't need to. And it really depends. Again, I feel like I'm very conscious of other people's triggers and other people's things, and I embrace and I love the word witch, and I love identifying as a witch. However, I am very conscious about how other people will react, and for my own health and safety and wellness, sometimes I just choose to not say that word around other people, and in certain areas, I do not say that word when I'm at work. It's none of anybody's fucking business, you know? The people at work know that I do tarot and astrology. They know that I'm very spiritual. They know I work with crystals. They know that I have very pagan beliefs and celebrate certain things. But if they don't ask me, I don't tell them. And I feel like I don't need to tell them. I don't need to tell them that. It's kind of nice to have things feel a little separate for me personally. But yeah, if I'm in a space where I feel comfortable and I'm in a space where I feel like, oh yeah, we're here now, then yeah, I'm absolutely identify and consider myself a witch. And I think it took me a long time to realize what that meant to me, and how that word is powerful. Labels aren't unnecessary, I agree. But I do think that the word witch for me was a big turning point in my practice that I needed to discover and I needed to connect with. So I actually feel like the words, we all know words hold power, and I definitely think that the way that we communicate and the way that we use words is part of spiritual and witchcraft. And the word witch for me holds a lot of power. And I think I was misunderstanding, or I hadn't connected to, or was not quite there yet with what the power was and if I could control the meaning of witch. And now that I feel like I'm a bit more mature, I'm a bit more, you know, I'm a bit more researched in what it means to me and how I connect to it. Witch is a great word and I love it, and I definitely embrace it and use it a lot in my day-to-day life. However, if I'm around, like, we just had one or two people come from George's work. Um, I have like a social distance barbecue, which is the most interaction I've had with humans in a very long time. You know, to kind of get him a little bit more integrated with the people down here. And I would never feel okay to just be like, oh yeah, I'm a witch, unless it came up and I felt comfortable. Like, I don't know those people, and I don't need, there's a lot of bad reactions that I've had that, like, I don't need to, it's not like I'm ashamed, but it's, I know it holds power, and I know that I get to use it how I want to use it. And I can see that you guys are like really doing a lot of great comments. Hold on. Daniel said, I do. My husband didn't realize that, and I did, and kind of freaked out last month. He's okay now. I feel like that's the thing, right? Like, he knows. I can see from like your Instagram posts and stuff, Danielle, that he knows you're into oracle and tarot and crystals and herbs and things like that. And that's like that alone is could be considered, you know, witch, you know, but to say that, it's such a taboo thing. It's such a not welcomed word in so many associations and so many places, that like it hasn't changed you or changed anything about you. And it's like, oh yeah, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people in your situation and in mine, like my boyfriend would probably say, oh yeah, she's really witchy, but I don't think that he would say, oh, she's a witch, just because even he hasn't connected with the power behind what that could bring, or the meaning that some people take from that. Um, Samantha says, I would classify myself as a witch, but I don't call myself one, if that makes sense. Same reason I don't want to step on others' toes, and I also don't feel the need to label myself for anyone. Yeah, I I I was in that space a couple years ago where I'm like, yeah, I am witchy and I do witch things and I practice witchcraft, but I don't say that I'm a witch. But I think, again, I think it was for me personally. I'm not saying this is the same for you, but I think it was that I needed to understand what I felt that word meant and how, like, the power behind it. And I think a lot of it tied to like self-worth and self-confidence too. Sam's reading, both birth charts and tarot, are amazing. When they're available, I highly recommend. Totally worth every penny. My birth chart reading was a game changer. Thank you so much, Rebecca. I love you, and I'm so grateful to know you and connect with you. Yeah, I that was the sweetest little plug ever. So yeah, I right now currently all of my readings are booked up. I've kind of overbooked myself, and I'm learning as I go. But so I took the rest of my readings down. I definitely was already booked for astrology readings. But I really want to make sure I can catch up on those before I open up any. But if there's something specifically that you want, if you go to the website, which is samanthamento.com, and like go to, let's say you want my chakra alignment reading, there's a place so you can put in your email and it will notify you. It's basically called like getting on the wait list, but you don't have to purchase the reading. It'll just notify you when I restock, so you'll know when it's available and get it before it sells out, because I'm very grateful and very lucky, but my readings sell out very quickly when I open them up. So thank you so much, Rebecca. I love Samantha Menzo, so relatable, and walk the practice daily. Oh, guys, thank you. I loved calling myself a witch right from the beginning and finding witchcraft. Yeah. Yes, words are power, which is power. I'm a witch. It's very new to be so out loud with that. I'm proud of me. I'm proud of you too. I don't broadcast it, but if someone asks, I will tell them. Okay, I'm gonna skip a little bit. I hear she thinks she's a witch, but but in their tone, I can hear some people need time to get familiar and understand what they think of the word. Yeah, and I think this comes a lot down to like the shadow aspects that I have as well with being raised in an environment where you always want to rebel against your parents. Or not always, but like a lot of people do. It's like whatever your parents are into, you're like until you get older. So like I was raised in such a powerful, magical, metaphysical, spiritual mindset. Like I said, I say this story to a lot of people, but this really was, what I would hear. Like, let's say if we went over to my grandma and grandpa's for dinner, a conversation that was natural for me to hear would be like, oh, look at Zachary. He is sectioning his foods out and he didn't put any sauces or spices on it. He's just eating his things one by one and none of the foods can touch. What a little Virgo. And then it would be like, Sam's on her third helping of mashed potatoes. Look at that Taurus moon, And like that is like the consciousness that I was raised around, which I'm very grateful for. But I think that there is some like trigger within me, like my mom and her aromatherapy and her spiritual practice and things like that. Like at one point I was like, ugh, mom, you're so annoying, so weird. And then I was like, oh wait, a witch. Like I forgot. Like my mom and stepdad made this back behind here. I've shown this a lot. Just like a little gnome door that they wood burned and put together out of like found objects or recycled things. And they burned this little symbol back here, like this little glyph. I mean, come on. Come on. Come on. Uh, so I think associating myself with that word had to kind of come with a lot of those triggers as well. Yeah, okay, you guys, I'm so sorry. Keep commenting because I will be going back and reading some of these comments I've missed after the live stream's over because I need to plug in some of these links I've told you. So I will be reading the comments and getting ones that I haven't missed so I can see what you're saying. But please feel free to keep talking, or if there's something that you really want me to go over that I missed or that I skipped, write it again in capital letters. So, how do you use witchcraft in your day-to-day life? I think we've already kind of covered that. I feel like I think it's hard to answer because I get hung up a little bit on how do you use witchcraft, almost as if it's something that I need to be like something that I need to be doing and not just living. I feel like the answer is I just live and breathe magic into everything that I can. So whether it is cooking my breakfast, whether it is using divination tools, whether it is reading, journaling, walking the dog, whatever it is, I try to invest myself in to everything that I can in a day-to-day practice without feeling like it's forcing it. And some days I do feel like I'm forcing it. Some days I have to be like, I'm sitting down and now I'm practicing. Whereas others, it's like, I'm folding the laundry and here's the magic that I'm cultivating with connecting to every single one of my items of clothing, and Marie Kondoing my way through witchcraft. So I just feel like I feel like a lot of you have known, and we kind of already talked about a lot of these things, but instead of how do I use it, it's more so like how am I trying to live and breathe every day through the mindset of witchcraft or intention setting and connecting to everything that's around me. I really just use intention behind everything I do, like cinnamon in my coffee for prosperity. Sure, it tastes good, but I put it in with the intention of prosperity. That's exactly what I'm trying to say too, definitely. And I think it's easier said than done sometimes. It's easier to say like I'm putting cinnamon in my coffee for prosperity, and it's Another to feel like it's not just doing the steps of like this is doing this because it's witchcraft. It's more so like really living and breathing and feeling the magic of everything that you can do to just be man. Oh god. Do you follow any set of rules in your personal practice such as harm none? um I I feel like I don't really have rules. I do have um, boundaries. I have boundaries for things, and I do have ethics that I like to stick by. Um, I I I just sort of live by harm none, but sometimes things get the best of me. I'm not gonna lie. Um, I feel like more so. Um, Boundaries is a better word than rules for me because there are certain things that I'm not willing to do or I'm not willing to interact with, or people that I'm not willing to converse with or have in my life. And to me, that's rules. It makes it seem less like like do this or don't do this. It's more so like the way that I choose to make my life flow in harmony or not. And to me, I've had to put up boundaries and I've had to know, like, okay, I can only do X amount of this, or I'm not willing to sacrifice this to do this. And I don't really know how to list them all out right now because it'll just go on and on and on forever. But I definitely think that it's more so not rules and more so the ethics that I live by. And I guess an example of this would be um, I don't read tarot for somebody who hasn't told me that they want me to read for them. Now, if I'm reading and doing a love reading for somebody and it involves somebody else's partner, I will do that and I will read the cards, but I will only word and translate the messages in a way to where it is helpful and respectful to the client who's getting the reading, while also keeping in mind the outside influences that have kind of leaked into the reading, right? But I won't sit down and do a love reading for somebody and say, okay, let's see what your partner's up to, and just read for that person who has no acknowledgement or consent to have me dive into their energy like that. That is an ethics and I guess a rule or a boundary that I have put in place for myself. Um, yeah, and so that's more so an example of things. Same thing with natal charts. My cousin wanted me to go over her husband's chart. Hey, if you're watching this, what's up, girl? I love you. Let's Skype later. And there was something that was coming up, and he was like, yeah, it's fine, go ahead. But I just felt like the messages that I was gonna give, like I felt like, no, this is a sacred thing, and if he wants to communicate to her later what was said, great. But I asked her to leave the room, and I asked her to leave him with me so that I could tell him what it meant and what was coming through, and give him the space to understand, that I don't know, like I just felt like it's sacred. It's sacred stuff. You can't just loosely play around with certain stuff like that. So that's an example, but it doesn't have to be just divination. It could be just like all certain things, like certain people that I'm willing to interact with and what I'm not. Um, okay, you guys are commenting, and I'm gonna skip again just so we can get a little bit further down the list. But I keep commenting. Do you believe in the concept of threefold law of return? Y'all, these questions, whew, these are good ass questions. Again, I'm gonna kind of side swipe the question. Yes and no. I feel as though I have really loving relationships and really triggering relationships to like law of attraction. There's some things that I'm like on board with and some things that are so not okay. Um, but I do believe that, for every action there's a reaction. And I believe in, yes, sometimes what we put out there, we will get 3 times full. But I feel like sometimes it's just because what we're putting out, we might not realize is as influential as when we're doing it. Um, and for example, for example, let's say I don't necessarily believe that you're going to be mean to somebody, so someone's going to be 3 times as mean to you. I do feel that energy is reactive. So if you are rude to somebody, and it really impacts you and their day, and you weren't coming from a loving space, that maybe it's going to manifest itself into, let's say, back pain later. And it might be your body and your energy's way of letting you know that you were being a little bit too rigid and stiff. You weren't being as compassionate as you could have been, and you know it. So the energy is stored in the physical space to allow you to realize that you need to be more flexible and move and see the other person's side of you. So that would be kind of an example of how, not always, and that could be taken really out of context, but just an example of how I kind of work and see as like what you put out, I do feel like reacts in some sense. Do I think it's threefold? Not necessarily, but I do feel like every action has a reaction. And so there are parts of law attraction that there are parts of law of attraction which I definitely use and I live by and I really really like, but I have to be really careful on my wording because there are some things that could be really damaging to think that way. So that's my answer for that. The most peaceful, honest, and vague answer. Let's see. I'm on the fence about the threefold law. Rules do sound like binary, while boundaries sound more like conscious awareness. Like, not for me, but you can do you. I say that all the time. You do you, boo. You do you. I ain't gonna do that, but you do you. I ain't gonna judge you. You do you. But here's what I do. You do you, boo. Not something I want to think more about when I say, yeah, for sure. So far, literally everything you say is exactly the same thing that I feel and think. Taurus moon, exactly, girl. Taurus moon. And I just think maybe a lot of people, if not agree with me, sort of like have an understanding of where I'm coming from because we're in this same space consciously. Totally agree. Yeah, thanks. Let's see what else. Do you have a separate witchy name? Why or why not? I don't. I never felt the need to. Like, I am who I am. I know I can be what I want to be. However, for fun, one day, my cousin Coven and I came up with like names that we were going to call each other, and we just really don't. I think mine was like Moonraven or something like that. So if I had to say what mine was, it was like Moonraven. I think I could go get down with being called Moon. I feel like it's better to switch it. Like Raven Moon sounds good, but whenever I think of just Raven as a first name, I can't help but think of like That's So Raven, and I'm not. I'm good on that. You do you, boo. So yeah. So if I were to say a witchy name, it would be. But I've always just been Samantha Menzo or Sammy Menzo, because I live and breathe it, and I just never felt a need. I do understand, especially if you're going to be like on a platform like this and share things, that it's good to have like an alias or like have a witchy name as well. And I do know why people pick witchy names like in covens or in just like their practice. I get it. It just wasn't like I never was drawn to it, and maybe I will in the future. Who knows? Maybe I'll change my YouTube channel to Moon Raven. I don't know. But Samantha is a witchy name. Yeah, I know. For my generation, it's quite common, but I've always really liked my name, and I felt like my name was very powerful. Like, my mom and my dad put a lot of time and effort to pick out my name, and I've always really connected with my name. My mom came up with my initials spelling Sam, so my initials literally are SAM, which I felt like was really powerful. So my middle name is Alexandra. So yeah, I just kind of go by my own name. This is me. This is my life. And that's okay if you do have one. I'm not saying that it's bad. It's just I never really connected with it. Nope, no witchy name. I used to when I was young in high school, but I've grown to love my name and see the power. Yeah, in history of my name. I think so too. So now every time I hear a raven, I'll think that's the raven. It's like oh god. Let's see. Do you write your own spells, use pre-written spells, or do a mix of both? This might be highly controversial, or maybe not. I do not ever use other people's spells, ever. The closest I've come was to reading and like reciting the spells that came with the witch's moon candles when I light them, but I would always change it, or I would always read it and then do something completely different. I've thought about this a lot, and I've actually wanted to talk about this in videos, and I don't know if I have, but I feel okay. So here's my thing, and I don't want to make people feel like second guess their own self, but I do want you to think about. I want you to think about this. So if someone's creating a spell, right? And so let's say the spell is for abundance. So they're in their mindset trying to come up with written word to incorporate a spell with surrounding abundance. But even when they're doing it and keeping it very general or focused on the word abundance, the person that is creating it still has their own wants and needs as they're creating it. So whether it is for the spell to get them a lot of attention, whether it is the spell for them to get a really big house, whether it is sorry, I'm just getting texts from people at my muggle job, so I'm just like distracted. Whether it is they're trying to manifest money, and you might take that spell and use those words and direct it in another way. It might work really well for you, but to me, I can't get over the fact that I know whoever wrote it, yes, it's an abundance spell, but when they were writing it, they had things and energy and intentions behind it that I just will never fully understand. So it makes it hard for me to invest in the written word that they've put down completely word for word. So I always feel like I have to change things or completely come up with something my own. And that's just me, and I feel like maybe it's a control thing, or maybe it's just because I want it to come from like the purity of me. But I think a lot of people out there don't know how to write spells, or they don't feel creative enough, or they feel like they don't know where to start. So I feel like, you know, people use other people's spells, and that's totally fine. But for me, I do not use written word or other people's stuff unless it is like, oh, let me get a little inspiration wording, or let me just see what else is out there on a conscious agreement kind of thing. But yeah, you never really know exactly where that person is coming from when they're creating it. And even though it might be really beautiful and powerful, and, you know, the intentions might be really aligned with what yours are in using it, to me, it fully doesn't feel like my own. It doesn't actually feel like I'm fully invested in it unless it's coming from me, if that makes sense. But there's nothing against using other people's spells or books or things like that. There's nothing against it. This is just me. And maybe you've never thought about it that way, so maybe that's food for thought for you. I'm going back, sorry. I tried using other spells in the beginning, but using my own definitely works better. That's So Raven was my show, though. Like, I was maybe a little too old to still be watching Disney Channel shows, but I did not care. I feel that. That's good. I do have a boyfriend. Thanks for asking, RB. I'll find inspiration in other people's spell work and use that to put something together for myself with my own intentions. Yeah, exactly. And again, if you're someone who's like, fuck that, I don't have time for that, I don't want to, I'm just gonna do what this person did. Cool. You do you, boo. You do you. I like looking at spell books for inspiration. I always change it in some way. Yeah, I'm with you. Nothing against it for others. For me, I want my spells to be all me. Yeah, and I think a lot of people want to use it because when they're starting off, they might not know what to do or what, and that's fine. But the deeper and the further you get, the more I feel like fulfilling it feels to do it all on your own. Just a thought. No pressure. um, do you believe in fantasy creatures such as dragons, fairies, unicorns? Absolutely, I do. And I feel like my younger self is triggered by me saying that. But here, get on board with me. Again, this is very out there. I believe in a lot of things. And I believe that if we, as a conscious living species, have all agreed upon the idea of something, then it's valid. The energy of it is valid in some way, shape, or form. It might not be in the physical world, but in an energetic and conscious level, unicorns are real, fairies are real. What was the other one? Dragons are real. We've put so much power and focus into developing what these things are and the stories behind them and the interactions with them and what they are, whether or not I believe that they might be in the physical realm here and now. It doesn't make them any less real or valid because the consciousness of them is alive because we've made it so, if that makes sense. And I remember when I was like 14, I had my boyfriend over and we were sitting around the little chimney fireplace that was in my mom's little log cabin room. And we were partaking in some things. And my mom and my boyfriend and I were just sitting and talking. And my mom started like talking to us about how she fully believes in fairies and how they totally are real. And this was before I was like on board with any of this. And I was like so triggered. I was like, oh my God, mom, stop. And we left. And my boyfriend was like, did your mom like just try and have like a whole half-hour conversation about like how fairies are real? And I was like, yeah, for sure. and now and now I'm like, oh, I get it. I get it for sure. Like absolutely. And um it had to have come from somewhere, right? I fully believe that sometimes it's not as black or white as we think that it needs to be. Um, but absolutely, I think that if anything has some sort of agreement or consciousness on something, it's the same thing I feel like with like a Ouija board. Okay, if we wouldn't have deemed it to be the tool that it is to be able to do what it does, I don't feel like it would have the power that it does. But because consciously we have associated this piece of board and ink and, plastic to be able to do the things that it does, it doesn't have to be the physical item itself that makes it real. It's the tool or the consciousness that we're able to associate with it. We good? We get it? So, like, yes, I totally fully believe in fairies and unicorns and Loch Ness Monster and dragons and vampires and everything. I believe in those things, but maybe not in the physical sense that comes along with saying I believe in fairies. Yeah, that's my sidestep or my like vague answer to that. Um, I'm with you. Nothing against it for others, but I want my spells to be all me. I refuse to believe that they are not real. The idea of magical creatures just makes me too happy to believe otherwise. That's also a really great way to look at it. Like, how fucking cool is it to believe in dragons? Like, you don't know. You don't know. You don't know. You know? You don't. I've seen fairies in my meditation. Then they are real, whether they're in your physical space or in your subconscious mind of meditation, they're real. I want to believe. Then believe. Um, we good. I like the idea of these things. Like art. How could your You prove art is art. Regardless, it is a very real experience. Yeah. Whew, okay. Agree, right? I feel like if we have an acknowledgement, like when I say dragons, y'all know what a dragon is, or you all have some sort of association with what you think and feel about dragons. That's real. It's valid because we all are aware of it on some level. There's an awareness around these things. So they be real. Are you a solitary or part of a coven? What do you think are the pros and cons of each? I'm not going to get into the pros and cons of each just to speed it up. I'm not part of a stereotypical coven, although I would love to be. I've never found one near me that I felt like was where I was at. I would love to be a part of one, so I'm actively like out there kind of searching, and I don't feel like I really want to be the one to start one. I don't. I feel like I take on too much already. I have too much responsibilities and things that I put on my plate because that is the answer to that at this point. I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm never going to find one that I feel like is good or that is near me enough or whatever. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to be the one to be the high priestess kind of thing. And I just don't know if I'm invested in that right now. I did just move to a new part of the country, so maybe when the quarantine and things get lifted and there's more safety in meeting in social settings, I might be able to find one, but right now I'm very solitary. I do have a cousin coven, which I talk about a lot. It's my two girl cousins that live in other states. We're all very, very similar in our practices and our beliefs and what inspires us. So we do have witchy movie nights. We have Skype dates where we'll talk about business things or dreams that we're connected with, or our we're literally a coven. I feel like so that's why we call ourselves our cousin coven, and I'm really grateful for them. That's the closest I've been able to find. Yeah, that's my answer for that. Are y'all in a coven? If so, how the fuck did you find those people? Because I haven't had much luck over the past few years, and that's okay. Maybe it's not my time to do that. There's pros and cons to each, and I feel like they're pretty obvious what the pros and cons are to each, so I'm not going to answer that. Let's see. 16. Do you prefer to do spell work during the day or at night? Why? I feel like, again, spell work feels like it has to be like I'm sitting down and I'm doing spell work. Although I do feel a little bit more powerful when it's nighttime, which is why I love really dark, dreary days, like thunderstorms and stuff like that, because it feels as though there's a hush to the energy and the activity around me, which I feel like for the way that my brain and my energy works, I feel a little overstimulated a lot of the times. Like I need to ground, I really need to breathe, and I feel very distracted a lot of the times, quite anxious if I don't make a conscious effort to kind of hush the outside surroundings. So when it becomes nighttime and things are a little bit more still and a little bit more hushed, I seem to be able to flow a little bit easier. So I do enjoy nighttime a little bit more. I feel like it's a little bit more potent of a time for me, as well as if it's dark and dreary or rainy or snowy or something like that. I do feel like I tune in and click in a little bit better to the energies around me and to myself. So I'm gonna say at night, but it's all the time. Yeah. All right. Let's see what else. Y'all still here with me? It's so hard to. Okay, 17. Do you always cast a circle when working magic? No, I don't. I don't. If I did, that sounded so bad in my mind. If I did, then I would have to be constantly casting a circle because I'm constantly doing magic. But that's such a fucked up answer to say. But I kind of feel like that is, again, like I wake up, I have my morning ritual, and it's very much a spiritual practice. Or, okay, I'm going to be consciously using magic in making dinner. I'm not going to sit there and cast a circle. That's not what it is. There are times in which I do cast a circle when I feel like I'm doing really big things, or when I'm really kind of bringing in some energies that I might be a little bit more unsure of, or kind of testing around with some things, I do cast a circle. I do more of like grounding work and core to like energies around me, shielding and things like that, but casting a circle I don't always do. Do you guys? Let me know. Do you use herbs and or crystals in your personal practice? If so, which are your favorites and why? This was my answer for my art magic earlier. Still here in bed now though, so much to say for these. I know, I'm sorry. This is really long, but I kind of knew it would be. Sunny days are my jam. Something about that energy I get from the sun is sacred to me. I'm trying to embrace that, but I'm in Florida and I went from one extreme to the other, so I just really feel like it's gonna be a slow process. I do use herbs and crystals quite a bit. If you were here in the earlier part of the live stream, you'll know how I'm trying to incorporate into my practice right now with art magic. I have crystals all around me, and I use them very intentionally. I have amethyst by my bed. Right now I'm really connecting with just pure clear quartz and trying to really bring it back to what I would say basics. That's not clear quartz, but bring it back to basics and what I do and I feel through that. Just showing you some of my little crystal babies. Piece of amethyst. I have it all over. I really love my crystal babies. I love this piece. I've had a lot of upset with herbs and plants in the last few years of my life because I have felt this tug of war of I'm wanting to settle into a house and a space that is mine, all mine, that I can have my garden, that I can, connect with plants and things in a more long-term way. Because right now I can't grow fruits and veggies and herbs because I'm moving every year or two, and it's a lot of time and energy and money to put into something where I know we're just renting. Same thing with here. We're in this house right now for I don't know how long, because we're here to get down here and get a space, and we might buy a house down here, we might rent another house, we might move to another state in 6 months. We don't know. So right now I feel a little bit of upset when it comes to connecting fully with herbs and plants the way that I want to, because I want a garden and I want to be able to do that, but I just can't invest in that way. And if I can't do it that way, I don't want to do it at all. So I'm trying to come up with stuff like this to where I can learn and grow and connect with them. So yes, get out in the sun and soak up that amazing energy. Sunscreen though. I know, I can't wait to go to the beach, but I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna wait. I know. Just really, it's like we moved here and we can't even enjoy it. How did you come to your personal path? Great question. It's too big of a question right now, and I feel like I answered enough of it already talking in past relationships with, my family and the interactions I've had. But I do have videos up about ways in which the turning point for me spiritually began about 10 years ago when I helped my papa transition from the physical realm to the after. And it was a very long, very powerful experience watching somebody take their last breath and helping them, guide them, almost like a deaf midwife type thing, which was something that I had no knowledge or no understanding about when it was happening. I was just there, but it just came over me. Like I just knew what to do and what to say and how to be there and give my energy to him to help him transition. And it was, having that experience was definitely the biggest, I would say, like, book opening. It was like, oh, this book was just one that it was open when I was born and I was raised in an open book. And then at some point I was like, this book isn't for me. Y'all crazy as fuck. And then for years I was just like, no. And only little bits of things would leak in and I'd be like, oh, that's cool. And that happened. And it was totally back open again in full force since then. So that was a big thing that happened. And then since then, I was there and helped my best friend's father transition as well. And that was not planned. It just happened. And I feel like those are such beautiful gifts that has really helped me open up my mindset to a lot of things. I don't use herbs as much as except for burning some sage, cedar, and rose. But when we move into our next home, I can start growing my own roses and herbs. I know. I feel the same way, Danielle. Okay. What do you do when you are in a witchy funk? Best thing for me is to use my Taurus moon, to use my fucking voice. So I love to sing. I love to belt sing. Skylar has been around sometimes when I have been in I need to like, get the energy out. When I'm in my car, I will scream belt songs, whether it is Celine Dion, whether it is Fleetwood Mac, whether it is Michael Jackson, whether it is Maggie Rogers, whether it is First Aid Kit. Literally, like, I love the music that I love, the things that make me want to just use my voice and my power. When I'm in a witchy funk, I sing, and I sing loud, and I sing proud, and I sing well. Definitely when I'm in a witchy funk. I want to say dance too, but sometimes I feel a little restricted. I'm still trying to connect with dancing as a spiritual tool, and I don't always go to that. So sometimes there's dancing involved, but mostly it is singing my fucking heart out. And the good way to do that is to go for a drive, roll up the windows so you can just sing as loud as you want and no one's around, if you're subconscious about it. But yeah. Wow, I've never heard of a death doula. Oh yeah, it's really interesting, Samantha. Look into it. It's so cool. I'm not saying that I am one. I've just had the pleasure of kind of being there as a part of two people's experiences. I'm going to have to look it up. Yeah. So that is my thing, my witchy funk, like my number one go-to suggestion for myself. Not everyone's in that space, but for me, like when I'm in a funk or when I'm feeling like a little low, like if I just go and if I go and just sing music and putting on music and belting is great. Dancing will do it for Samantha, she says. What does the term sacrifice mean within your personal practice? I'm unsure if they mean sacrifice like as like having like a human sacrifice or like an animal sacrifice, or whether it's meaning to be like sacrifice as like you need to sacrifice certain things to have a practice. Let me think on that for a second. I don't know. That's a hard question. I don't know how I feel, or nothing's like coming up. Nothing's really coming up. I mean, not for my practice. I mean, there's a lot of things that I sacrifice to have like a business and to do things on more of a professional level. There are sacrifices that need to be made. But as far as sacrifice in my spiritual or in my personal practice, when it comes to spiritual or witchcraft, I don't know. That's a great question, and I don't really know what I feel or what I think about it. I don't know if I have any connection to it. What do you guys think? If you're watching the playback, let me know what you think down below, or let me know if you're here now, because it's kind of an interesting... I don't know. My answer is I don't know how I feel about that. 22, is ancestor worship a part of your practice? Why or why not? Yes, it's not a huge part of my practice right now. My maternal line is very into genealogy, so I will get a lot of texts or emails or things saying, hey, here's your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother, and she was into this, this, and this, and we just found this information out about her. So I get to be informed without doing the hard work. I do feel a lot of connection to learning, and it's very interesting. And I go through spurts where like once every year, once every 2 years, I'll get like really invested in kind of going back and doing research and doing family tree stuff. But There's certain family members that have crossed over that I do feel more connected with, that are a part of like my altar space and things. But that doesn't mean that there are others that don't. Um, this is my papa's like shear for shaving. He was a barber and he loved being a barber before he was a banker. And this is one of his old razors that he used. It's quite rusted, but it's nice. My grandmother gave it to me and said that I could have it. And so I have it in the little old case. It's kind of dirty. I thought about cleaning it up, but I kind of like keeping it the way that it is. So I do keep this on my shelf because I like to hold material items sometimes to connect with loved ones. And just having them be a part of this space feels really good. This is a diary from my great grandmother and my great great grandmother. So it's kind of weird how this was, and it's falling apart. My grandmother gave this to me as well. It's a standard daily journal from 1943. But these pages, oh my god, I just opened up to this. You see this little scribble right here? That was when my grandmother was a kid and she was scribbling in this journal. But it's weird because this journal has my great grandmother's daily little notes, and a lot of them are like coldest day of the year, 8 degrees below. And that's all it said for Monday, February 15th of 1943. That's all it says. So she wasn't a very good journaler, but she was very consistent and wrote a little bit here and there. And a lot of it was how my grandmother was really sick as a child, and talking about taking her to doctor's appointments and things like that. So Mother's birthday today would have been 90 years old, March 8th, 1943. And then 1853, Margot's great grandmother. So there's lots of things in here, but then there's a point in the journal where there's like a separation, and I think this is my great great grandmother's journal, but at some point my great grandmother took it over and started writing her notes in there, because there's two different handwritings and it's like both of their perspectives on certain days, which is really cool. Let's look for today. What is today? Do we know what today is? May 7th. May 7th. Oh my gosh, this is falling apart. Is this totally boring to you guys? Sorry if it is. May 7th, 1943. It rained a little, cloudy all day. Blackout tonight. Blackout tonight. Maybe she's saying like it's literally so dark, it's like black out. But anyways, I keep this on here, and I really like to have these little items on here. The journal's falling apart. I would love to like rebind it or something, but I don't really know how to properly do that. That's so amazing you have that journal. Thank you. I know I was really excited when she was like, you can have it. I was like, really? You should take over the journal entries now and be a part of the history. I thought about that too. It's falling apart too much though. So if I can figure out how to like rebind it or something. I mean, and I have been journaling ever since I was little. So I feel like, you know, there are journal entries to go alongside it. Blackout could be a power outage. Yes, blackout tonight. You're right. Okay. Yeah, some of it's not really clear, but I guess that makes a little bit more sense. So yes, I do use Ancestor. There's Ancestor Magic and ancestral work, but it's not one of my main things in my practice. And I know if, you know, Rebecca's still here, it was something that came through and sometimes comes really clear in client readings for me, especially in astrology. Like there's certain things that I like to suggest or kind of inspire people to look more into, because yeah, what's up, Rebecca? Like Rebecca, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but like in her reading, it was so powerful and so clear that ancestral magic and ancestral work was something that could be really, really powerful for her to look into, but I didn't want to like pressure her or force her into it. But yeah, and so I'm really hoping that helps. But there's certain things like, oh, I might look at somebody's chart, or I might be in the cards and be like, yo, plant spirit is really, really working for you right now. I would highly suggest you take a look more into that in any way that feels yummy and good to you. But like, I feel as though the clients where ancestor work comes in and is like, being uh, coming through as a suggestion for the client, it's always like really in your face. It's always like really, really strong. Um, and that happened recently with Rebecca. So yeah. But for me, it's always been not the forefront of what I do, but it is incorporated in things. We're getting through this, guys. 23. What would be your golden nugget of advice for a new witch? What do you wish you knew when you first started out? I think what I wish I knew when I first started out was my self-worth, and knowing and understanding what I value in myself is more important than what I value in my practice, because it's one and the same. So learning about yourself and what you like and what you don't like and what feels good and what doesn't feel good. You hear that a lot. It's just do what feels good, but sometimes you don't know what feels good because you don't know yourself, and you don't know um what things to focus on or what not. You want to do what you see other people doing, and oh, you really like that person, and you want to learn and grow with that person. And that's really great. That really is, and it opens up so many doors to things. But I wish that when I started my practice in like an invested way, because again, this sounds so like high and mighty, but I have been practicing in some regards since I was really young and just didn't know it. But I feel like I missed so many years and I missed so many opportunities because I didn't understand who I was and my worth. And I wanted to do a lot of like by the book, or like, oh, this is what I should be doing and shouldn't be doing. But my biggest suggestion is kind of going to be a little bit more random, and this actually comes up in client readings quite a bit as well. I think that there is a lot to be said about the things that as children we liked to do. If you were a child that loved to rollerblade, incorporating or finding ways to connect with that now in your practice is extremely potent and really, really incredible. If you really like to color as a kid, you might not consider yourself an artist, but you love to color. Um, Incorporating ways to reconnect with that person and that part of you as a child. So I guess it's a little bit of inner child work, but it's more so like finding about who you are and what you like and what works for you by looking at the things that you loved to do as a kid. If you loved to play with Legos, go out and get yourself some fucking Legos and bring them into your house and make a little witchy cottage, or make the elements out of Legos, like using your inner child creativity or connecting to the things that you did when you were a kid, because there's nothing as a child that we feel up to a certain age. But I feel like as children, the things that we love and we enjoy doing, um, we don't really have too much outside influence to tell us what's right and wrong. We just know what makes us happy and what feels good. So if you really liked to play video games, use video games as a part of your spiritual practice, your witchcraft, and see how you can meld that together to find out who you are and what you like and what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And I've been trying to do that ever since, and I really, really like that as a suggestion because I feel like it's different than what you normally hear, but it's still along the same things. Like, find what you like, find what feels good, find what really works for you and what doesn't. But if you don't know what that means or you don't know where to start, look at the things that you enjoyed when you were younger or that you were a child, and maybe you're still doing them now, but maybe you don't view them as a way to connect with your practice, and see how you can do that now. Yeah. So I was just thinking, I wonder if part of the power It's like learning that magic and these beliefs are partly in my blood, is partly reclaiming my rights to the space in this world, if that makes sense. It totally makes sense. Also, it was through ancestor stuff that I found into it and started getting super strong universe messages, birth chart reading. It's game changer. Thank you, Rebecca. I'm so glad that it connected with you, and I've been having such great feedback on it. It really, really does mean a lot. I'm so glad that it opened you up and inspired you in some way. I feel like learning about my ancestors, the actual accumulation of knowledge has become spiritual for me. That's great, y'all. I love that. um, are you out of the broom closet? If so, how has that experience been for you? It's fine. Yeah, I'm out of the broom closet to the people that need to know and that kind of have always known. I've always been a little questionable. I kind of felt like, you know, it's the same thing of really the word witch. It's my answer to the same that. Like, I'm out of the broom closet to those who I feel like I can talk to about it and that I want to talk to about it. And there's certain people that, like, probably know, but it's like, it doesn't really matter. It's not really for them. It's not something that needs to be talked about. So it's not like I'm keeping myself in the closet. Like, if it were to come up, I would talk about it, but is it really going to be doing me a benefit to be sharing certain things? No, I kind of like sometimes that it's not important. You know what I mean? Do you or would you teach the craft to others? Yeah, and I feel like in some ways I am, and I don't even mean to. I feel like obviously when I do client readings, or when I'm working on YouTube or things like that, or the podcast, that I'm in turn teaching people. But sometimes that's not like where in my brain, like I'm thinking, like, I'm going to teach now. I definitely feel that way when I'm doing natal chart readings. I do come from a very teacher perspective of interpreting somebody's chart. And I also come with that way a little bit less, but still the same way when it comes to tarot and oracle. But I don't know. I feel like I just like to share, I like to express, I like to create things. And if that inspires or teaches you something, then that's fucking awesome. Um, so I do think that I'm constantly wanting to teach and learn new things. That's a very Gemini in the ninth house of Sag thing to do. So yeah, I do think that I teach. Again, I don't feel like I'm ready to have like a coven and be the center or the leader or anything like that, but I do feel like anybody who were to come around, that I would be willing to share. But as much as I'm teaching, I want to also be learning from somebody else, if that makes sense. I want there to be balance because I don't know everything. I know very little. Um, is divination a part of your personal practice? If so, what tools do you favor? My two biggest divination tools are astrology. I would consider divination, and tarot. I do use other things to divine, to connect with the divine and uses divination. I would say art can be that way, although I don't typically use it to divine. Uh, but yeah, I do use tarot. A lot of you guys know that, and astrology, and I love it. There's such great tools, but there's so many others out there. Like charm casting or runes or even just sigil magic or um, scrying, or there's so many really wonderful juicy things that you can use. But those are the two that I would say are the main ones that I use. Do you use prayer in your personal practice? If not, do you use anything similar to prayer? I do actually pray. I would consider sometimes me actually getting down and praying, but I don't. It's not of like a dear God. It's more so just on a conscious flow of connectivity, and sometimes I will pray to spirits. Sometimes I will pray to deity. Sometimes I will pray to my spirit guides. Sometimes I will pray to a God consciousness on a whole. And sometimes I'm literally on my knees by my bed praying before I go to sleep. And sometimes it's just like in a meditation. Sometimes it's just I'm at my altar and I feel the need to pray. I think, again, the word pray can be very triggering for some people or misunderstood. But I would say definitely there's a difference between me just talking and communicating and trying to like connect with certain energies like through tarot or things like that. And there is a difference when I'm sitting down and I'm like, I want to pray to you. I'm trying to let you know what my wishes and desires are. I want to thank you for certain things. And whether it's just the universe as a whole, consciousness as a whole, again, deity, spirits that have crossed over, like ancestors or things, or my spirit guides. Most often, I'm praying to my spirit guides. Like 90% of the time, if I'm praying, it's to my spirit guides. Mostly my main one. I really just, I constantly feel connected and to the one main one that I really feel I jive well with. Are we losing steam here? 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm feeling a little drained. If you can't tell, my energy's gone down, but we're almost to the end. We're almost to the end. 26, is divination... Oh, no, I did that one. 27, do you use... No, I did that one too. 28, what belief system, if any, were you raised with? How has it impacted your personal practice? We already answered that one. Because I ramble too much on every question. Or so many of these are connected to the same thing, but they're really good fucking questions. So I hope that you guys can answer some of these. Oh my god, the questions weren't coming up. Hold on, let me go back. Or the comments weren't coming up. Son of a bitch. Kat says, I've been doing that a lot lately, thinking about the things that actually bring me joy when I was 11 years old because I've lost it over the years. Caked in crap from others, and I don't even know anymore. That's one of the coolest things that I started to take on, and I hope that maybe that inspires other people to do that. The only person in the dark is my mom. She's still a Jehovah's Witness, and telling her would mean her having to cut me out of her life. But otherwise, I'm out. My Virgo is screaming, yes, let me teach you, but also let me learn more. I'm worthy of being a teacher. Yeah, I think giving and taking of that is great. Hey James, what's up? Sorry to hear that with your mom. I get it. Yeah, I think that's a big portion of why that question is in there, is because so many people are in the same situation as you, Samantha. But what belief system, if any, were you raised with? How has it impacted your personal practice? The thing that we didn't talk about was that I actually was baptized in a Catholic church. And I chose that of my own device when I was like 13, I think, or no, maybe a little younger than that, like 11 or 12. But I've talked about this on the podcast. I did it because I wanted to be on the church basketball team. If that doesn't send me into damnation, I don't know what will. You couldn't be on the basketball team with all your friends if you didn't go to the service and if you weren't a part of the member of church. And I was at the age where like I didn't have a communion and things like that. But my papa side and my Italian side and my dad, like my paternal line is and came from very Catholic background. My grandpa, my papa that I talk about a lot, he was one of like 9 siblings. So it was a big Italian family. My great grandparents came from Italy. They were my papa was a first generation. Anyways, it was a very big Italian family that was very centered around Catholic traditions, very much stereotypical, like you would think. So I did have that influence in my life as well. And all of the funerals and things we would go to for all of them were very heavily Catholic. But my papa, with my grandmother who taught me astrology, he was very much into spirituality and loved mindfulness meditations. He went to Unity. He was a very big practice. He was very, very psychic, actually, very in tune. And if you go back and you watch some of the videos with my grandmother when I was interviewing her, she talks a little bit about that as well. There's one story that I love where they were in like a Reiki kind of chiropractic building, and somebody was working on somebody, like pulling negative energy out and throwing it away into the hallway, and my grandpa didn't know, and he was walking through the hallway and like ducked and walked underneath it and didn't know, and somebody came up to my grandma and was like, does he like do energy work? And my grandma's like, no, he sort of has started to get into it. And she's like, well, he knew that there was like negative energy that had come and he just like ducked underneath it. So he feels it, he knows. I was like, oh, that's cute. Anyways, that's a little bit of a sidestep. But yeah, so not only was I raised in a very witchy, spiritual, pagan type setting in the maternal side of my family, definitely I had influence in Catholicism and the church in that way as well. But it wasn't like we didn't really attend church and things like that, but it was surrounded and kind of embedded in a lot of the different things that I interacted with family on my dad's side. 29, we're almost there, guys. How do you feel about death? How has this been impacted by your personal practice, or how has it been? Again, I talked about this already. I think we're doing good here. We talked about the influence that watching and helping my papa transition out of the physical world has been for me. And connecting with spirits ever since I was younger, and then kind of turning that off out of fear and misunderstanding when I was in my teens, and then coming back to it after that process happened, where I was able to help him out of this world. That was a big shift for me. So death honestly was like the biggest gift that I could have been given, is to witness that process and that energy exchange. Absolutely. And I feel like it really needs to be, and I say this with a grain of salt because there's some really traumatic and horrible things going on right now and that have happened to certain people, so this is not on an all-around basis, but I do think that it's easy to see that the rituals and the habits of death in our current society is really askewed. I think that there's really a lot of things that we need to come back to and see death, in most instances, not all, but as such a blessing and gift to be embraced like a birth. Again, there are tragedies and there's things that can't fit that whole thing, just like the law of attraction. And there's some horrible things that are happening currently, so I say that very gently, but I think we all know some of the things that I'm implying when it comes to the way that death is perceived, and the way I would love it to be a little bit more embraced as beautiful. I'm gonna button that up now because it could get really misinformation. Like that could get really skewed. 30. How do you feel about the popularization of witchcraft in social media? I honestly don't care. I really don't. I think it's great. Again, I think that there's some things that really rile me up, as you could see on some of the recent things that I've talked about. It really irks me when I feel there isn't a balance between walking the talk and using it for other things like gaining attention or making money, because I'm someone that is on an attention platform. And I am someone that uses my gifts in my practice to make money, and that is fucking fabulous, and I don't care who says it. But I do think I'm always trying to have balance and always trying to make sure that it's not money hungry, or it's not attention seeking only, or it's, part of who I am in my life. And when I see other people on social media and I feel like they haven't really gotten that, I do project a lot of anger on them. And a lot of upset on them, like they don't get it. But that's not my place. I'm not them, and everybody's doing the best that they can do. And in those brief moments of lapse of anger and upset, I just have to recognize that everybody is doing the best that they can do in their space. And I think it's kind of cool that we're in a day and age where we can digest so many different belief systems, so many different practices, get so much information, see so much of this world through other people's lives, and social media does that, and I think it's really, really cool. And then lastly, 31, what is the most important lesson your craft has taught you? Oh my god, these are such big, beautiful questions. What is everybody saying? I hate it when it's being used for views or likes. It makes my skin crawl. So I really limit my social media for that reason. But like it's becoming something we can openly talk about right now. Yeah, I think I think it's okay to get things for to have a consciousness about views and to have a consciousness about growing a platform, but knowing why and your intention behind doing it is really important. So, if you're trying to build a spiritual business and you're on a platform to share yourself and to learn and to connect with other people, while also gaining clients and like-minded people, if it's done right, fucking get the views that you want and get the views that you need to make your life work and to get your needs met. But there has to be fucking balance. There has to be. And sometimes it's really easy to get sucked into one side or the other. It really is. And I've dealt with it myself, and it's so hard to know what's enough and what's too much and this and that. But I think just the fact that I'm trying shows enough. I might not always get it right, but the fact that I'm conscious about it and that I make an effort to make it important to me to have balance is really all that I'm looking for from content creators. And I know that not everyone agrees with that, but me saying, like this live stream, please comment on the video, half of that is because I literally want to know if people like something, or if they literally don't, because I won't continue to make that type of content. And some of it is I would love for you guys to help my algorithm. And some of it, comment on my video. It helps me. It helps me get seen. It helps me grow my platform, which in turn helps me grow my business. Help me. I would help you. You help me. But in other regards, comment, because I want to know who's fucking watching. I want to know who you are. I want to know what you like. I want to know like what your practices are and what your comments are. So just so I recognize that it's not bad for me to deny myself the want and need to grow a platform and to get views and to get likes and to get comments. That's part of the name of the game if I want it to be that way. And to not deny it and make it bad and wrong, but to know just as much as I need this and I want this, I really do want this over here. And I think the problem with a lot of like witchcraft in social media and things like that and it being popularized is because there's not enough people that want to have a healthy balance of both. The people that are way over here and it's like, I just really want to talk and connect and that's it. They don't get the views and the numbers that they want because they're not working on that. And maybe they actually do kind of want that, but they've denied themselves from connecting with what this means. And vice versa. There's people that like say they want to connect with people, but they don't really give a shit. They just want to hit a certain number of milestone and make money. So I think really trying, and I'm not holier than thou, I just really know that I make a conscious effort to have the balance between them. But I will not deny and sit here and say that I'm not trying to grow my business and my platform. But I have to know that I want it because it means that I get more of this over here. And that's the whole shebang. But I do think that it's misused and unbalanced a lot. But that's going to be with anything, really. Danielle says so many pros and cons of the popularity because people feel more comfortable being themselves. Then there's people just doing it because it's popular or to make money out of it. Yeah, again, I think you're implying the same thing that I was talking about, which is like there's just a little bit of an imbalance. Tech Coven says, I agree with intention. Also, just coming from a core of personal knowledge, it always irks me when people are after views with affiliated links about something they just know is trendy. Yeah. So, like, I think too, this kind of is a sidestep to a lot of, see, it's so hard. It's so hard because YouTube and social media is a place to share yourself and to share things, but it's also in this day and age a great way to make money and to have business and to get, to get yourself out there. And I think that if you're not a content creator, it's harder to understand the push and the necessity to try and get views. Like, you can put so much time and effort into making content to want to connect with people, but unless you're doing X, Y, and Z to get your videos seen, no one's even going to connect with you because no one's going to fucking see it. You know what I mean? And yes, over time, the more you're there, the more people will find your content. But like, maybe you make a video about, hey, I want to be friends. Let's find friends. I want to connect with people in the community, and here's me. Here's what I like. Here's the kind of people that I'm trying to draw in. Yada yada yada. And I don't care about subscribers or likes or anything like that or making money. Nothing like that. But you have a shitty thumbnail, and your title isn't really searchable, and your goal was to find people, like-minded people, and you don't care about views, but your video doesn't get out there because other people are dominating the platform, and you're not kind of going with the space in which it works. Like, there is a little bit to knowing where you're at and what works for getting your needs met. Again, it's just like, what's your intention and how are you getting those needs met? So you've put together a video that says, hey, I really want people to come to my space so I can have a good conversation. Don't really care about views or likes or subscribers or money. Great. But my video might not be enough because I haven't used the platform for what it is used for, or not even what it's used for. I haven't used it as the tool that it is. So there's also that kind of side of it. And yeah, I don't know where the fuck that came from. Sorry. It's the wrong intentions behind building that platform that get me upset when it's because you want to share your message with people and from pure intentions. I'm here for it. I agree. I guess I'm always here to play devil's advocate though, Samantha, and say like, but who's to say that someone's intentions are right or wrong? Because in the spiritual community, there is this big fucking trigger with people that if you're in the spiritual community, whatever you want to say, witchcraft or more just like open-ended spirituality, that you should not be here to make money, and that you should not make money from spiritual beliefs or information or practices. And I'm going to call bullshit if it's done in the right way. If it's done in a balanced way, if it's done in a heart-centered, loving space. And I feel like there is this stigma, and it's not even just in the spiritual space, but on YouTube in general, there's a lot of big content creators that have said like, yeah, as soon as I try and make money, or as soon as I try and put like an ad in my video, I lose subscribers, or I feel like, oh, she's just in it for the money or whatever. It's like, no, she's here. She's made content for free for years and years and years, and now some company wants to work with her that she likes and she agrees with. She should be able to put herself out there. Or if you're like, you know what? Oh, I'm getting a little ranty to finish this off. Sorry. Look, no one would ever go over to somebody who's trying to build a business on being a chiropractor, okay? Because we were talking about that earlier. No one's gonna go to that chiropractor and be like, wow, you're just in it for the money. You want to build your business so much. You just want clients, and you just want to get your name out there, and you want to be a famous chiropractor. That's icky. I don't want to go to you. I only want to go to somebody who's low key and doesn't care about the money but actually cares about the practice. No, like, we need a fucking way to sustain ourselves. Money rules a lot of our world right now, and if people want to use spirituality or their practice to make money, as long as it's in a balanced and healthy way, or you feel like it is coming from a really soul-centered space to where they're walking their talk and they're not just fucking regurgitating things out to make money. And I know that's what everyone's saying and everyone agrees, but there is this undertone that I hear in comments, or I hear from people, where it's like, I've heard this before. If I hear any content creator say, please like this video or subscribe, I automatically stop watching their videos because I feel like they're just in it for the views. Well, fuck that. Fuck that. Why am I going to spend so much time on this platform to connect with people when I'm not doing the work to have others that care about me and that like my stuff realize that, hey, if you want to help me, if you want to get my stuff and help me to reach a wider audience, to talk to more people, because you like and you jive with me, click a fucking thumbs up video. Click the thumbs up on the video. I don't think that should make me, I don't think that should turn, I don't know, I'm shitting, but like, I don't feel like it's right that turns some people off, but it does. And so long as I'm still coming from an honest and open space, do you know what I mean? That it really, I don't think that there's anything wrong with it so long as your intentions and the way you go about it is really for the common good. But no one would ever go to that chiropractor and be like, wow, you did a lot of Facebook ads to try and get more clientele, but you really are just in it for the money, aren't you? But they do that when it comes to a spiritual space and YouTube and social media. It's like this is something that we're really putting a lot of time and effort into and being vulnerable. And as soon as there's any money or any affiliated links or there's any sort of, you know, product launch or course launch, or if I'm making these, you know, things and then people get it, oh, here's just another product that's launched. All she's in it is for the money. It's like, no, not always. But yeah, people can make money in this space and it be okay. That is magic too. Money magic is fucking powerful. Oh, I'm getting ranty. Sorry. Okay. Thank you also for the people who thumbs up the video. I saw a couple more come. They're like, okay, she's mad about her thumbs the video up. Sorry. By the way, loving this live. I came in late, so I'll have to watch the first half I missed. This is really making my day. Thank you, Samantha. Yes, you guys make my fucking day, and I really haven't gone live in so long. I need to kind of wrap it up, but you guys just got me rare and ready to go. Hey, little cosmic crow, what's up? How are you? I don't know how long you've been here, but thanks for being here. Yeah, being on the content creator side is definitely an interesting perspective. I can see how both sides of wanting views and striving for close connection from community. Tech Coven, I don't mind when people are out there hustling and making money. Like if you love astrology and have logged in the time and work to get that knowledge and enthusiasm, you can tell. Exactly. Samantha Marie says, I guess the heart-centered loving space is what I'm talking about. I knew what you were talking about, and I'm not mad at you or anything. It's just that comment got me going on some of the things that I feel like I see that are really damaging in this. It's like, okay, we can't make money as well. We can't do this. We can't have this space be a viable resource to a sustainable life. And if you are, as soon as you do anything that's associated with making money, oh, you're just in it for the money, or oh, you're not really valid, or oh, I don't want to subscribe to someone that's just, I just want to learn for free. I just want to get their content for free, or oh, they're just here to entertain, or oh, they're just here to share. They're not real. Like, that's what I want from them. And I'm sorry, I'm saying it, like, it's all over the place. I've heard multiple times from people, and people that I love and I trust and I value what they say and what they've said. And I've heard multiple times, again, you know, every time I see someone come out with a new product or a new course or launch this or launch that, it's like, oh my God, here we go again. And I'm just over it. You know, why? If you like that person, you like that person. You might not have to get everything, but it shouldn't irk you if they're hustling or if they're creating something or if they're offering services to people. And I would say definitely look into that triggering to you and what that means for your own self-worth and what you feel like you deserve. And same thing that goes to people who are like, hey, I'm not on board with people who are at the beginning or ending of their videos. Please subscribe if you like this. You know? Why the fuck wouldn't I say that? Why would I have a YouTube channel and then just say like, don't worry about it, guys. You don't have to. No. If you like me, fucking subscribe. Because then you'll see me more and I'll get to interact with you and you'll give me more opportunities. And this could open me up to connecting with other people that help me and I could help them. Like, why the fuck not would I do that? It shouldn't trigger people. I just don't know why. I don't get it. I don't know. James, totally agree. As someone trying to make connections and find community, but who is also trying to grow a spiritual business, there has been a lot of learning. Same. I like business witches as long as they walk that talk. That's really important to me, and I've recognized that within the last few years. Slow motion sweets. It's an energy exchange. If you're putting out good, solid info, then there's nothing wrong with making money. Yes to everything you're saying. Yes, I appreciate those that walk the talk. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say this too. There are people out there that I don't feel like are fully walking their talk, but they're not bad and wrong. I just don't agree or want to digest their content yet. But that doesn't mean that they won't ever get it. That doesn't mean that they won't ever go, oh my God, wait a minute. I'm saying all these things and I'm doing all these things and they don't feel good anymore. Maybe it's because I'm not actually practicing what I'm fucking preaching. Let me pull back And maybe that person that you don't like or that irks you or that you don't feel like is coming from a space of walking their talk, maybe they just haven't figured it out yet. And maybe they will. So it doesn't mean that they're bad and wrong, but maybe they're just not there yet. And maybe they won't ever be there, and that fucking sucks, but it is what it is. Little Cosmic Crow. Plus, some of the witchy business peeps have some of the best witchcraft or spiritual items. Support your witchy fam. I agree. Hey girl, I've not been on too long, just vibing with the rant. No, I don't know why I'm ending with a rant. When I watch your videos, I can tell you love what you're talking about and discussing. Good, because I do. So thank you. Oh my god, you're too sweet. Okay, first time catching your live, just came on, but oh, good stuff to talk about. Thanks. Yeah, we already went through the 31, or did I do? What is the most important lesson your craft has taught you? What it means to walk my talk. That really is what it is. You can say you want something, but doing what it is that you need to do to get and achieve those things is another. For so much of my life, and you can even look back in my journals, you know, and you can see like I'm trying to script my life and I'm trying to manifest certain things in my life, but I know exactly where I was when I was in that fucking space and I was doing nothing to achieve it. I was just dreaming, or I was just making it seem like, oh, I know this is where I want to get to. And in turn, I am doing some sort of magic by writing it down and making my voice being heard. But there was so much other masculine divine or yang energy that I needed to incorporate with like, here is what I'm doing to get what I fucking want. And learning magic and learning my practice in the sense of like, oh, I can say that I do this all I want, but am I actually fucking doing it? Like that is literally hands down balance, and walking my talk is the biggest things that I have learned and grown with in my practice, I think. Yes. I'm sorry I'm new to live streams and didn't know how to tag your names. Yeah, James Feeney, just found you and I know, we watch your videos. I can tell you love what you're talking about. Oh, you were saying that about James Feeney, and I'm just like, oh my god, thank you. I love what I'm talking about. No, yeah, James is awesome, and I've just now found him through Skylar being obsessed and shouting him out on the podcast. And I think a lot of people have found him too, so it's awesome. That's what we need, to lift people up and to find other channels that are out here trying to hustle, or even just want to share their thoughts and their opinions again. So yeah, that's it. Oh my god, we did it. It's almost been 3 hours. I feel like I'm gonna faint. I need to eat. And I need to text my muckle job people back. Thank you guys so much for being here. I know that there's a lot of questions that I kind of either skimmed through, or the answers for that was like was already answered in previous questions, but I just enjoyed kind of hanging out and seeing who came to the table. And if you're watching the playback of this, like maybe you missed it or you couldn't stay for the whole thing, you know, just let me know some of your thoughts down below. Make sure you fucking thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, y'all. I hate myself. Thank you for being here. I love you all very, very much. I will be opening up more live streams soon and things like that, but I do have a video that's coming in a day or two all about art magic, and I was recording some of the stuff of me painting and creating some of these shells and stuff. So if you're interested in that part, yeah. Thank you, Rachel. No, I saw you were here. Thank you, Danielle. I loved this too, and I really missed you guys. And I know that there's a lot of you that like might watch a good number of my videos and they just don't need to comment or don't have anything to say in the comments, but I know that you guys are around and here. But that's why I really like the live streams, because it's so much easier to like interact and have a good flow of conversation. So send hate mail to Skylar for real. He's feeling very left out, you guys. All right, I love you guys. Have a beautiful, wonderful, magical day. And I'll see you next time. Bye.